Hello, welcome back to the Beef Mania Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, aka Snack with Zach, and I'm joined by the man voted most likely to eat mayonnaise out of a jar in his high school yearbook, my brother and co-host, Matt.
Nobody said that about me, but I would.
It's okay, he definitely would. We are in a special location today.
Where are we, Zach?
We are in Nashville at the Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Test Kitchen. We're overlooking beautiful Franklin, Tennessee right now. But we were invited out here to talk to Chef Jean, their corporate chef, executive chef, head innovator.
We talk about everything from how she got into the business to her favorite items on the Carl's Jr. and Hardee's menus. Talk a little bit of lore. We cover a lot of ground today.
Yeah, it really is cool to take this on the road for the first time. I honestly didn't think we ever would, but I mean, we are in fact here. So without further ado, please welcome Chef Jean Leathersich. Hi, Chef Jean.
Hi.
We're in your test kitchen right now.
This is great. I'm so excited you guys are here, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for having us, too. We're equally excited to be here. For those of you that, for some reason, missed the intro, we are officially in the Hardee's and Carl's Jr. Test Kitchen here in Nashville, Tennessee. We're joined by Chef Jean, and you are their executive chef, or at least for Hardee's.
Yes, that is correct. For
Very
the Hardee
cool.
side of the business. Yep.
So what does it mean being an executive chef for Hardee's? What is your day-to-day like?
So really what it means is that I lead the culinary innovation team here for Hardee's. And essentially that's like everything from sort of helping to develop the culinary strategy for the business to developing new products that we want to put on the menu, to like fine-tuning core items that are already on our menu. It's all of those things, and really we focus all of that around having quality ingredients and quality products to put out there for our guests. I'm just going to start out by saying, like, I'm going to talk about culinary a lot. I want to be clear, like, this doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? We have all these functional teams here. We work really closely with marketing. We work really closely with ops and all that. And so like it takes a village to make all this stuff come together. But yeah, that's sort of like what a head chef or an executive chef is in this kind of a role.
Are you constantly cooking? Are you constantly just ideating? What do you end up doing during the day?
It's all of those things.
Okay.
It really is. It may sound super cliche, but no 2 days are alike, right? So we could be in here tasting, I'll just say, cheese sauces. Maybe we're trying to find the right cheese sauce for something, and we're tasting 15 different cheese sauces as a team and trying to get the right flavor profiles, the right balance that we're looking for. We could be tasting cheeseburgers or breakfast biscuits or something, and many iterations of that, because you got to find the right, like, what ingredients belong on it. So that's one thing that we do. But then, there's a lot of other pieces. Like some other day I may be out in one of our restaurants, seeing how things actually like come to life in a real world scenario. I could be doing like leading an ideation session or participating in ideation here in the office to try to find those next big ideas for us, working with suppliers to try to figure out how to get that highest quality ingredient in today's world. So there's a lot that goes into it.
There's
sure.
a lot. And one of my favorite things is there's another corporate chef that I know, Chef Mike Harris, who used to be with McDonald's. His whole shtick, are you familiar with him at all?
I am.
Yeah. His whole thing on TikTok is, I'm a McDonald's corporate chef, and people don't seem to realize that it's a different role than being a cook or a chef in a restaurant.
Yeah.
It's the entire process that goes into, it's the brainchild behind everything that you actually end up eating, not the person who's sitting there and cooking it once you order at the drive-thru.
Yeah, and we do cook a lot here, but yeah, we're not feeding guests out of this kitchen, right? We're playing around, we're experimenting. That's a lot of what we do here.
It's very important. And
Yeah.
you had a very interesting career path, too. You didn't start off in this position. And I think it's really important, especially for folks who are wondering how they get into a role like this or get more into, the world of like menu development, et cetera. How did you get to here? Walk us through a little bit of your life story.
I'm going to start with young Jean.
Young Jean, are we in Tennessee?
No. We're in upstate Western New York. It's where I grew up.
Closest, yeah.
In upstate New York?
Rochester, outside of Rochester.
Okay.
And I started out in restaurants. My very first job as a youngin' was in restaurants. I did not stick with that the whole time. Like, as you said, I've been through a couple of different things. You know, I worked as a cashier. I was a postal delivery person at one point. So there's been a lot, but me being here today, I consider as my second career. So when I went to college the first time around, I became a packaging engineer.
Okay.
And so that's where I started.
What is a packaging engineer?
I knew that question was coming. We design packaging for any type of product out there. Like anything that you see on the store shelves, things that have to get shipped across the country. Like there's someone that has to design a package for it to be able to protect the product as it moves through any sort of like distribution chain. And also when you're talking about foods, you have to be able to protect the shelf life of the product, right? So I went to college for that. I started in pharmaceuticals. No offense to the pharmaceutical folks. I found it maybe not my cup of tea. So I pivoted from there into foods. So I actually went and worked for a large retail snack food company, which is right up your alley.
Okay.
I worked there for a number of years, and I designed packaging for them.
So we would know hypothetically things that you've worked on.
You would.
That's so cool.
You would. You probably still feature a lot of their stuff today. So
See, I know that you can't say, but in my head I'm like, I have like 7 ideas.
I can tell you after the interview.
Okay, we're gonna discover. Sorry, guys. Privileged ears. So, okay, so you're doing packaging
Yep. So-
somehow.
Yeah. So it was at that company where I was doing food packaging. That's where I sort of reignited my love for food. So that kind of started when I was younger, but it sort of reignited it. And that's what sent me back to school, to go to culinary school, to go to baking and pastry school. So it was working there and seeing those folks that were working on the products, developing the recipes for them. That's what I was like, that's what I want to do. I love packaging, but that's it. Yeah.
Were you guys culinary house at all? Like, did you cook a lot growing up, or was it something that you sort of liked but then rediscovered later on?
We were not an adventurous culinary house, but I grew up in a big family, and we always ate dinner together at night, all of us around the table at the same time. Like it was, that sort of vibe. Always home cooked meals. My mom cooked a lot. Her specialty was baking.
Nice.
And I loved being in the kitchen with her, learning her secrets. She's taught me a lot of tips and tricks over the years.
Do you have any non-family secret tips and tricks you can share just off the rip from
they're-
baking standpoint?
They're all secret.
It's okay. We have a soup recipe in our family, which there is an ingredient. I think mom told you the ingredient at one point.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, did she not tell you, Zach?
Oh, I've known.
Oh, okay.
I've known since I was like 6, but I was the only person aside from my mom who knew this. And then I think she told you like 2 years ago.
She told me last year.
Yeah, so I've gone like almost 30 years of my life knowing what this thing is, and Matt just found out, and I was pissed because I felt like we had like this little in, but it's important that everybody knows. You never know what's going to happen. But okay, so there you are in school. You go back to culinary, and where do you go from there once you once you complete your studies?
Yeah, so when I left culinary school, I went out into the world and was a pastry chef.
Oh,
so I was
wow.
doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we talking like boutique bakery?
Yeah.
Pastry is hard.
Yeah. But that's the engineering side. Like that's sort of like, it's sort of at the core and the heart of what I do, I think. So that was the side that appealed to me more. I did both in school, but it was like, they told me when I went into school, they're like, you're going to like one more than the other. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And it was definitely baking and pastry. So yeah, I was doing the pastry chef gig, and I was living in St. Louis at the time, and Hardee's was based there in St. Louis. And I'd always been attracted to Hardee's because of their commitment to quality. I'd been doing this pastry chef gig, and a job came open, and it really felt like a perfect fit. Like as a pastry chef, I'll tell you, I know what a good biscuit is. Hardee's has a great biscuit.
I agree. I'm not even biased. I grew up in the South with him. We've had a lot of biscuits. What was actually, well, that's a great side thing. You had found this job from Hardee's. Mm-hmm. What was like your first exposure to the brand? Like, do you remember the first time you tried it? Because it's not a Rochester, New York thing.
It is not. I did not try the brand until I had moved to St. Louis. So it was, I moved there, and I was probably there for 4 years before I joined Hardee. So that was inclusive of culinary school and my pastry chef work. Okay. But I found it when I first moved there. Because I've always loved fast food. I've always loved snack foods. I love all the things that you love.
Yeah, 100%. You get me. What would you say is your biggest beef with like people's thoughts about fast food, misconceptions, etc.? Do you have things that kind of like irk you about it? I have thoughts.
I think the biggest thing that comes to mind is that, and I can say this because I used to be this before I was part of the QSR and fast food world. I think it immediately brings up thoughts of low quality. And that is not always the case. And I would argue that hard for Hardee's, right? I would say, like, we make our biscuits from scratch. Which you well know.
Yeah, every
You've
day,
made them
right?
yourself.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have made them myself. I've done it here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Every single day at 4 a.m., correct me if I'm wrong, the biscuit bakers get into the restaurant and they start with like the fresh batch, all the stuff, and that's,
Yep.
Yeah.
They do, and most of the restaurants open up around 5:30, so they start serving their communities really, really early in the morning. And so they've got to get there. They start bright and early, and they like make those folks' day. You know, it's a lot of Hardee's are based in these smaller communities, so it's really an important job that they play. Yep.
How did you work your way up through the hierarchy at Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's? Was
Oh,
it?
sure. I started as like an innovation manager. So when they first brought me on, I took on the breakfast role at both brands. So we were under the same umbrella, right? At that time, we were all one team. We were based in St. Louis, but like very quickly moving here to Nashville. So like we were all already becoming one team.
This is a great soundbite thing. So Carl's Jr. versus Hardee's, what's the difference?
Yeah. What distinguishes the brands from each other
Okay. Yeah.
as a novice?
Present day, and then we'll get back to the past.
Then we'll
but
get
it's an
back.
important thing to distinguish the two. I love
Okay.
that so much. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
You guys are so close.
Oh, yeah.
We've always been under the same company for many decades now. Back in like 2023, we did a true split of the brands in terms of like letting them be their best selves and letting them focus on the regions that they're in and their guests that they have and have their own brand personalities. And so the difference is what you're going to see on the Carl's side is like bold, audacious flavors, like big craveable burgers. Think saucy, think spicy. Whereas on the Hardee side, you're going to see a lot more comfort and tradition and things like that. It's like comfort classics. It's a little bit more approachable version to innovation. So that's kind of more what you'll see on the Hardee side. They're actually quite different in terms of their personalities and what they're going after. Yeah.
And their footprint's largely different too, right?
Yes.
So Carl's is way more East Coast, and Hardee's is a lot more Southeast.
Carl's is West Coast.
I don't know why I said East Coast. Carl's is a lot more West Coast, whereas Hardee's is more Southeast.
Yes. Hardee's is Southeast and Midwest. So we kind of have two regions. Northeast is one where we don't have a big presence there, but definitely Midwest and Southeast are our sort of areas.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a Hardee's in Massachusetts for like my entire life. So I just want to let them know.
That's very sweet.
Well, you guys ship me biscuits, and it's very sweet.
I'll put in a special request for you at our next growth strategy meeting. I'll
Yeah,
put
just
in
be
a
like,
special request that we got to get one in Boston, right?
Well, the thing is that we don't have like a lot of, because Matt and I grew up in Georgia. We were there for like 10 years. Rounded, I was like 8, but whatever. Nobody's counting. But the real issue is that like there's not a lot of Southern comfort food, because it's like the North and the cuisine is different,
Yeah.
and we have like North things, like brown bread, whatever. But there aren't a lot of places to get like a good bit. Like you can go to McDonald's and get like the McBiscuit. But I mean, I don't think many other places, they have like maybe a biscuit item, but they don't have like a lot more of the like the depth, like the sausage gravies. You don't find any of that up there.
Yeah, I did not grow up with that. I was not exposed to this stuff at all.
like, whoa.
Like I said, until I went to St. Louis, and that's where I got to, try some of that stuff for the first time, because I really spent a lot of time up in the Northeast, like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. So it was new. It was a new cuisine to me, but I love it.
It's good.
I absolutely love it. And as a pastry chef, that whole biscuit side of it is just like, so cool. Yeah.
What were you doing you started as an innovation specialist?
Yeah.
So what does that entail? What were you working on for that?
So I handled the breakfast business for both brands. When I first started, they put me on breakfast. So I handled everything, breakfast and desserts. So I handled everything breakfast and desserts for both brands. And that meant if we needed to make a change or an improvement to a core menu item that was already existing, right, that was on me to figure out how to manage that change, find the right flavor profiles. If we were looking to change it, that was on me. If we were looking to to keep it the same, but we had to change ingredients because of, some regulation or something out there. Like all of those things fall to culinary. So that was that's one piece of it. But then the innovation piece is more like, what else goes on menu? What's next for us? What are those things that we're going to put for a limited time offer out there into the marketplace? And breakfast and desserts is those are both pretty fun categories to get to innovate in. And they each have their own set of challenges, but I would say it's like easier at Hardee's because we're such a big breakfast place. It was just as fun on the Hardee side of things as on the Carl side, because that was a challenge, right? They're not as big of a breakfast business, but it's really that Hardee's side where breakfast is able to shine. So yeah, it was all about, it's about trends, it's about consumer insights, it's about trying to figure out what's the next big thing, either what has someone not done, or even some of it is just nostalgic, right? Some of it is bring back stuff, like what are people missing in their lives that they haven't gotten in a long time. Some of it could be like, what are some of these folks don't get biscuits in their normal life, like, or they don't see a red-eye gravy or something like that. Like certain people in regions, they don't know what that is because it's just a regional specialty. And how do we bring that to folks? So
awesome.
And is that where things like the cinnamon raisin biscuit come in?
Cinnamon raisin was well before my time, but yes.
But from a conceptual standpoint, as an LTO, right? It's like,
yes.
And you guys do a lot of different versions of the biscuit too, because that's such a not customizable. Right. You can do a lot with a biscuit. Yeah. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've done so many over time, like savory iterations of biscuit sandwiches, biscuits and gravy, loaded biscuits and gravy. I have so many things I could throw at you, but we also have done sweet biscuits over time. And we would like add real fruit filling to the biscuits and ice them and crumble some topping on them. And they were like really delicious, like breakfast fruit biscuits, or you could even use them as a dessert. Like those, we've done so much of that over time, and that's its own category. You started talking about cinnamon raisin. That's like a whole different world, because that's old school Hardee's.
Well, this is one of my favorite questions. We were talking about this too. Things that we'll start with things that have worked. What are things that have worked that have surprised you with how well they were received? That is like on the newer side, LTO wise, whatever adjustments you guys have made.
Yeah, we do a lot of work to make sure we've got the right items. Yeah. Out there, but I loved seeing the cinnamon raisin biscuit come back and do well. We have put some things out there in recent years. We did a candied bacon.
Oh, you did. I tried that last year. It was so good. Yeah,
that one's really good. Like some of these, like the data will tell you one thing, but you never really know how it's going to go over with folks. The candied bacon did really well. Really, really well.
Because you guys did that on, it was a Frisco burger, right? It was also available as a breakfast sandwich by itself too. It was by itself in a snack pack. A little snack pack.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing that's popped up in recent years, is now everybody's like, here's a single pack of bacon. And if it's just the sweet bacon, it's super good.
Yeah. I mean, you can't ignore people's love of bacon. Absolutely. Right? In any different form.
How long does it take for something to go from being an idea or a concept to making it on the actual menu? And then I guess it's just a quick second part. How long do things tend to have a run as an LTO? Is it like a 6-month thing, or do they come back? How does that work?
I'm going to answer the second part first, because that's an easier one. Right now, the way our calendar runs, we have windows that last about 2 months. So if we put an LTO out there, it's going to be about 2 months long that it'll be in market. So if you hear about something that you want to try, get out there and try it while it's still there.
Well, a good example, not to cut you off, but a good example, I think, of what we learned with the cinnamon raisin biscuit a couple years ago when you guys brought it back, was it sold out in like a week, right? And you guys had a supply that was supposed to be like...
for a couple of months. Yeah. It sold out really quick. So that's one of those things you never know. You never know how it's going to play out. Like, we knew it was going to do well. We just didn't know it was going to do that well. If that item proves to be successful, we might bring it back like year over year, right? It probably wouldn't be too quickly, but we might wait, because a lot of our items are sort of paired to be with a season. Candied bacon feels very like cold weather-ish. So like for us, that sort of works. It feels like for the holidays. So something like that, if it did well, we would bring it back at that same time frame the following year, maybe. Some of the stuff, even we'll actually eventually make it on core menu if it does well enough when we bring it back enough times. There's actually an example of that recently. We brought back an old favorite that guests and franchisees had been asking for, and that was our smoked sausage biscuit.
Ooh, that sounds good.
So we recently added that back to the menu, and that very quickly did so well that we're like, all right, we're gonna try putting this back on the core menu for now, because it used to be on the core menu, but it's like things fade, trends change over time, and people's tastes change a little bit, and so we pull stuff off, and sometimes we'll put stuff back on years later. Sometimes it's 1 year later, sometimes it's multiple years later. So it just all depends on what the market is calling for, right? We try really hard to hear our guests, hear our franchisees, hear what's happening out there in the field, and we sort of use that to inform a lot of, especially the bring back type stuff.
Yeah.
We use their expertise as, they're the ones out there every day. Like, I go out and visit to see how things are going, but I'm not in the restaurants every day, so we really utilize them as best we can.
So LTOs and the timeline that they tend to have. How long does an LTO get prepped for, like, before it goes live?
The development pipeline.
I love the terminology.
I know. Well, there's lots of terminologies. That's a cool one that sounds official,
It does. It does. Really, it varies based on the product. I've seen stuff happen so quickly because we're working off of trends, and we're like, we got to get on this before this fades, but while it's still hot. I've seen us take stuff from like just a concept on paper into market. A fast timeline would be like, I'm going to say like 4 to 6 months. That's really fast in our world.
Interesting. Okay.
Does that not sound fast?
fast?
Yeah. With all the stuff that has to happen, though, it is really fast because there's a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot to plan and prepare for. You have to get supply of the food. It's not just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. Like, you have to have them make it for you, and like production schedules take time. All that stuff takes time. That's some external factors, but we also have internal stuff we've got to set up for and make sure we have all the operational training materials ready. We want to make sure the restaurants are able to execute this at a high level and be the same product anywhere you go.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, like there's a lot of preparations. So that 4 to 6 months is pretty fast. I've also seen things take a couple of years. And so sometimes that's like a promotion of some sort, like with a movie or something like that is coming, and you want to do some special food for it, or a product that just, sometimes there's certain products that just take us a really long time to perfect. And we want the best product. We want it to be the right balance of everything. We want to make sure we're getting that right for our guests. And if we don't feel like it's right, like it's ready, we're not going to just put it out there. We're going to take that little extra time to do it. There's always contingency plans in place. There's always other things that we can put on our calendar to go in as an LTO while we try to figure that one out and get the best possible product.
It's almost like you have little backups. And an interesting thing, the 4 to 6 months thing, in terms of speed too. A lot of times when these products come out, I don't think I realized this. I definitely didn't realize this when I had started doing my page. Is like, if you look at trends like Dubai chocolate, you look at trends like hot honey, right? All of a sudden, like this year, it's been like hot honey everything. Every single week, there's a hot honey release.
Everything.
Hot honey is literally everywhere too. But it starts off with a spark maybe a couple years ago, right? Like last year there was a little bit of hot honey and people liked it. Or the year before, and then there's just like this massive wave. It's almost like the innovation curve, where it's like it's the bell curve of like, all right, like kind of early, and then it's like everything, and then it tapers off.
Yep.
So to turn something around in 4 to 6 months, that is relatively quick. Because like, I mean, I feel like if you guys were going to do like a Dubai chocolate biscuit, that would be at some point now, which I wouldn't recommend. Because
you would recommend.
You could. I wouldn't personally.
Oh, you wouldn't.
You could if you wanted to. You're like, nah.
No, I thought you said would, and I'm like, I want to hear more about that. You said wouldn't.
I don't know. Would you do a Dubai chocolate brownie? I'm not brownie. Biscuit. Dubai chocolate biscuit.
Probably not at this stage, unless it decided to stick around longer. But I don't think it's gonna.
Have you had it before?
Dubai chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is it good? I'm allergic to pistachios.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Yeah, me too. Do you know what it's like to go through and do what I do, and you just like can't? Have you had it before?
No.
He sometimes doesn't eat nuts.
No, but I've started eating pistachios again because they taste so good.
And you didn't have the urge to be like Dubai chocolate a little bit?
No, because I feel Dubai chocolate is a little overhyped.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I don't
It
have an
is,
interest in
yeah.
it. I just don't,
Yeah.
I'm not a big sweets person.
Okay.
I could appreciate sweet. I like sweet.
Okay.
But I'm a savory guy, and so if I'm going out, it's burgers, it's sausage, it's like,
Yeah.
hearty,
Meaty.
good hearty things. Do you know how many locations there are throughout the country?
Oh, can I guess?
Ooh, yes.
I'm assessing my knowledge.
I don't know the exact number.
Is
but
it around 2,400?
for
Hardee's.
No.
Is it lower?
It is lower.
800?
I think it's
Damn.
I was gonna guess 15 to 16.
I'm right in the middle.
Is like my range.
Does
yeah.
Carl's have 2,400?
No, maybe
Or
in
Carl's is
total.
fewer.
Maybe in total.
Oh, maybe that's the number I'm thinking of.
Total
CKE, yeah.
might be around 24
Damn it. I'm not smart. I didn't want it to sound smart.
or 25, somewhere around that. I think.
This is where Google's my friend.
Okay, so maybe 2,600. You were
So,
close.
yeah,
you
it's
were
like
really
total.
close.
So,
Yeah.
I feel like one of the things people don't get about food is how hard it is to make things consistently good.
True.
And so you've talked about this 4 to 6 months being short. Developing something in 4 to 6 months and then ensuring that it is consistent across over 2,000 or across thousands of locations is just crazy hard. How is there a way that you guys keep things consistent, or is it just lots of testing and lots of, data?
It is lots of testing, but really we have a phenomenal operations group here that we write guides, we do training videos, we provide all the materials that we possibly can out to the field to make sure that everyone, every team member in our restaurants, every franchisee, everyone out there knows how to do this and understands the standards and understands what we're talking about. So it's a lot of work. We partner with our ops folks on that, but they are really phenomenal. You think about that for an LTO. I'm not sure which is harder because you've got the LTOs that come and go, right? Mm-hmm. So they have to learn it for a couple months and then it's something new that comes in. But I often think about it in terms of our made from scratch biscuits and our hand breaded chicken tenders also, because those are like handcrafted. Like, you really need to know what you're doing and you need to know the process. And so those are things that, like, we've been doing those for decades now. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we can do that in all of our restaurants and get consistent product really speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. Because the quality standards are so high on something like that. It's, it's not just throwing a chicken tender in a fryer, right? There's a process, there's a procedure to all of it. Especially the biscuits, that's proprietary. As you may have heard us say before,
once or twice.
There's only so much we can tell you about it. Mm-hmm. There's secrets involved there because it's like they know in our restaurants because it's super important that we get that consistency. And you're talking about 1,500, 1,600 restaurants. I bet if we wrote a recipe or if you took your mom's recipe and the three of us took that recipe and made it on our own, I bet it wouldn't come out the same.
Which we did do last year.
Oh.
Well, when I was here for the WBC, we had all the ingredients from, it was like teams of two. We were in this kitchen. We had all the ingredients for the biscuits, and everybody's Chef Tim obviously was the best because he's a chef. But
he had an edge.
Yeah, Chef Tim was already Chef Tim Clowers, everybody. But everybody's different. Biscuits between like texture and like how much you needed them and all those little logistics of just making them, even with the ingredients being the same, the results with the same cook time wildly different.
All the same materials, all the same instructions, all the same equipment, and still, everybody's were different. It's crazy to think that could happen on such a scale. So that's one of the fun things about what we get to do, right? It's like it's this very creative role, very like experimental and innovative, but then you have to balance it with that challenge of like, how do I make this executable for all of these people out there to be able to understand what we're trying to get to, and making sure that our guests are experiencing that across the board and that they know they can come to us and they can get that consistency.
There's two things you said, actually there's a bunch of things you said, but there's two things in particular you said so far that have really stood out to me. one, it was that the biscuits are made every morning
Yes.
by hand. And then you're talking about the hand-breaded chicken tenders. It sounds like a lot of this is still people doing actual cooking and actual work. Because I was watching a video online the other day of another very large fast food brand who they were showing off their kitchen, and it was a lot of automation. It felt very impersonal and like weird. So to hear you saying, oh, we're hand breading our chicken and we're making these every single day, it's like, oh, there's a lot more
That still
love
exists.
in this than I thought.
Yeah.
There's a lot more skill in this than I initially conceived of.
Well, for the record, love is the first ingredient in a good biscuit.
That is true. That is very true.
My mom always used to say that.
That lady.
Yeah.
What a gal.
No, it's so much craftsmanship that goes into it. I can't even explain. Like, for the biscuit side of it, it's a very skilled position to be able to make those biscuits. And it's not just we make them every morning, right? They come in early. They're baking off biscuits every 15 minutes. They're making these biscuits, rolling and cutting these biscuits all morning long by hand. No robots, no nothing like that. It's all very handcrafted, very traditional feel to it. And I don't think everybody knows that about Hardee's. Between the biscuits and the chicken tenders, those are two of our biggest like handcrafted items. They really are crafted with care. And you'll see it if you get to meet or talk to any of our team members. I think you'll feel that come through, that care that they have for the brand and for our food. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
It is very cool. So we talked about some of the LTOs, things that are exciting. Are there things that you guys have had ideas for that just didn't work? My favorite thing is like the things of what could have been.
Oh.
That's a good one. But also like things that you're like, oh, this is a great idea on paper and just did not deliver.
I mean, we have a lot of those. I'm not going to lie. Because, we're innovating all the time. And I'm going to get I'm going to get the quote wrong, but it's something like the best way to get to a great idea is to have lots of ideas. And it's so very true when you're talking about innovation. Like, we can come up with ideas all day long, and not all of them are going to be winners. Some are going to flop on the cutting room floor.
Such as?
At one point, we tried to make giant cinnamon rolls out of our biscuit dough.
How big are we talking? Like,
we're talking like
yeah.
Like 8 inches.
That's like a Frisbee.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, we played around with that a lot. It was fun. That didn't quite make it. Operationally challenging. Some of these things are just a little before their time. You were talking about the innovation curve, and it reminded me of some of the stuff that's just, it's too early for its world. We did hot honey 6 years ago, I want to say. That was our first hot honey foray.
Everything has been hot honey. Whenever I do like a release roundup, it's just like I just did hot honey bacon from Smithfield and Mike's like 2 days ago on a thing. So this is like nonstop hot honey. So I mean, which is good. Now nobody can accuse you guys of being late though, because I mean, A, nobody's asking for it now, and B, you guys did it 6 years ago. So you can be like, been there, done that.
And I'll say it might not have been as big of a hit as it could have been doing it 6 years ago. We were maybe a little ahead of the curve on that one, right? So maybe that one wasn't the best. It was a little before its time, we'll say.
Is there a trend that you guys have caught at the right time that you did something and it just the way it worked?
Oh, I feel like a lot of ours.
I know you guys do a lot of stuff, like the peaches and cream. That was was it the soda? We tried it last year. It was really good.
Yep.
Peach lemonade was great.
Yep, with the cold foam and that. Yeah,
we're dirty soda-ish.
Yes, dirty soda style. So we're trying to keep on top of all of those, with all of that beverage work that's happening. We're keeping tabs on all of that, playing with a lot of new flavors and putting some feelers out there, some tests. We do a lot of test markets and things. So we're doing that with a lot of our beverages, because that's, if you look around, like all those places are popping up, all of those standalone beverage chains. Yeah. It's become a big thing.
We're talking like Dutch Bros, like those kinds of guys. So they're very like Cosmics, rip Cosmics. Yeah. McDonald's learned from that one. But they're also bringing in the beverages into their fold too, because it's Dutch Bros, it's Scooters, and there's another one, maybe Seven Brew. I hear about those all the time because
Swig,
it's like very beverage focused specifically. And I always wonder about those because I talk about Dutch Bros a lot whenever I'm covering those releases, and like I do go and ultimately look for food too.
Right.
And that was like my thing with Cosmics. I'd never gone to Cosmics, but I was like, oh, they got some items, but it's not like, I prefer something like a Hardee's or like the actual McDonald's, whatever, something that has the full menu so I can get the beverage and the food.
That's where we can get some of those folks when they're looking food first, right? We can bring them in with the food and we can kind of catch them with some of the beverage offerings, right? Because we're never going to be a beverage alone place, but we can get them with the food and then have them experiment through some of our beverages.
Yeah.
And like, beverages is just one place, right? Because we've been on this sort of this meat on meat craze, whether it's candied bacon in the past couple of years that has done really well for us, or pulled pork, some brisket, some things we're playing with in the meat on meat world. There's a lot that we catch at the right time. And there's some stuff that's just ever present for people. Like we've got a lot in the pipeline that's one of the things that I haven't really talked about is like cheesy goodness, right? Like that's never going to go away. Melty, cheesy goodness. Like that's one that we've got coming up that you'll see in our restaurants very soon. I'm really excited about it. And that's never going to go away. And, you know, we've played with a bunch of different concepts over time, and those are ones that always kind of hit, that they really hit well with people.
Who doesn't love cheese stuff anyway?
I mean, if that's your thing, melty, cheesy goodness.
For sure. And so speaking of that, and we're going to see some of it in the when we try the Innovation Kitchen menu tomorrow, but for folks who are fans of the brand, what types of things will folks see coming up? Like things you can talk about, like things to keep an eye out for. Just
coming up in like a month or two here, we're going to have some of that melty, cheesy goodness. We're really excited about it's a grilled cheese melt platform, and we've got breakfast items, we've got lunch, dinner items. So I'm really excited about it. I think you guys are going to love it. We've got cinnamon raisin making its annual return this holiday.
Are you a
big fan of cinnamon raisin?
On the biscuits. Oh. I'm a chocolate person usually when it comes to food specifically. Okay. But the cinnamon raisin biscuit is like such a classic flavor with it. I don't know, something about it just works. But you guys had to up the supply last year too, right? Like a crazy. Are you doing it again this year? It's just like more and more and more.
Yep. We're keeping tabs on all of that, and a lot of that came from social listening, right? When because this used to be a core menu item ages ago, and it's been something that our customers, you can see how they value the tradition of it. They've been asking for it to come back. And so it's kind of become one of those like every year sort of things that I was talking about. So yeah, that's returning soon. We've got like a great cranberry beverage coming up for the holidays. So yeah, I think you're gonna, you might see some of it, but
I'm excited.
Yeah, well, definitely in restaurants coming soon. So.
Well, this is my only chance to actually enjoy this stuff too, because we don't have, like I said, we don't have any Massachusetts. But beverages wise, you guys, one of the things that I like that Hardee's does is I see a lot of times when you do a menu item, like a food menu item, you'll follow it up with like there will be a drink with it too. Like it's usually both 9 times out of 10, and that feels a lot more balanced. Like I like when there are double drops where it's like, I think Culver's just did they brought back the Curder burger at the start of October, and now they're doing like jalapeno cheese curds, and whenever they're like extra things, it's not just like here's a thing. Yeah. It's like here's a drink that complements it.
Yeah, it's nice to pair those together, because then you can get, like I was kind of saying earlier, we can bring people in for the food, but if you've also got a drink, now you can get some drink people in, and then you get them trying the food, and now you're hitting both sides of the equation, the folks that are going somewhere for a drink or the folks that are going somewhere for food, and you can get them sort of into both sides of your innovation, both sides of what you do well, and turn them into fans if they're not already. So it's kind of nice to have that. We also try to pair it with sides wherever we can. Like you're talking about curds or something, we'd want to do a side of that, or we want to make sure that we put it in both our breakfast day part as well as like the balance of day. So we're catching folks, because some people come to us for breakfast, some people come to us for like later in the day for lunch or dinner, and we want to make sure that all of those guests are getting some experience of these new LTO items, right? We want them all to be able to feel that love of our innovation. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about innovating and about future menu items and stuff like that. As a relative novice to the brand, how long has Hardee's and Carl Jr.'s been around for? And candidly, who is Carl and who is Hardee?
Hardee?
Are they
Boys?
these people? Are they named after someone? Is there any lore to the brand that you can divulge?
Well, what I can tell you, I can't answer all of the questions. I'm not the perfect historian of the brand. However, I will say that Hardee's has been around since 1960, and Carl's has been around for even longer. You know, there is a lot of history there with starting out as a hot dog cart or starting out in one tiny restaurant. They are two actual real human people, Carl Karcher and Wilbur Hardee, that have started each of those brands. And they were started on their own. They didn't come together till much later in time. They each have a very storied history and a fun origin story, I guess you would say, of like that small family starting up a small business and like how they grew that into what it is today.
Who's the junior? Is Carl the junior?
Carl's is the junior, yes. Carl's junior.
Carl's, but was he the junior? Or is Carl's? Where did the junior come from in the name Carl's Jr.?
Oh, that
senior.
Gosh, that I don't know. There's a whole family of
Is
Karchers.
he the second one? Is he Carl Jr. or does he have a son as junior? I'm just so curious.
Really, where did the juniors come from? Because it's been there since the beginning.
Yeah,
we still have Karchers that are very heavily involved with the brand on the Carl side. Yeah, it's still a family business for some of them. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, really cool.
I guess I just assumed.
Well, with
I'm full
size,
of assumptions. I feel like
it's when you think about when it comes to food and corporations and stuff like that too. Like, it's always like I didn't know the Nordstrom family was still like one of the sole proprietors. This is going to be fact checked, not here, but y'all will know. Nordstrom, I do know that the family has owned, I believe, a majority stake in the business for almost the entire time, and I think they took it private again. It used to be public, but I think the family took it private again, and like they're still involved. So like to hear that, you know, like if you look at like Harlan Sanders and KFC, they're no longer involved. They haven't been involved since like the 60s. But there are so many different. I don't know. Like, when it gets to like family histories and stuff, it's fascinating. When I watched The Founder, and I didn't know it was actually bought out, like Ray Kroc bought it from the McDonald's brothers after you like 3. The lore is really interesting. It
is, and it's not like when I see the family still involved, like I didn't know about the Nordstrom thing. That's really interesting. But when you see that, it pulls me back to like that valuing tradition and things like that, and valuing the history and being part of that world that it's really nice to see. So it's nice to have that in our brands too, because I think it shows how much our company, our franchisees, our guests sort of value that piece of tradition. So
when it comes to developing new ideas, how often do you guys have to check and be like, does this fit into the history of the brand? I feel like every brand has sort of like a theme or like a flavor to it. Is there always, when it comes to developing recipes, is there always something you get back to at the end of the day where like it has to be X, it has to be, you know, freshly made, or it has to contain?
We have certain tenets that we work by at any given point in time. I think those change over time though, in terms of what the brand is standing for, because that has to evolve over decades and things. As the sort of culinary innovation side of this, we have a really good feel for what the brand is standing for, who our guests are. So we kind of know at any given point in time what we're looking for in terms of new ideas. We do have a very rigorous sort of validation process of those though. We don't just, I think sometimes people may think that we just come up with these wild ideas, throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. It's not really that. It's a very creative process, but it's balanced with analytics and data. We actually do a lot of steps to make sure that we do have the right products for our guests, for our regions that we're working in. So we have multiple steps along the way where we're talking to consumers, getting information back from them on does this feel like the right fit for the brand? Is this something you would come to us for? So there's a lot of steps along the way to do this sort of thing. And we actually, a lot of people probably don't know this, but the culinary team, at least here, is not made up of just chefs. We have half chefs and then the other half is like food scientists because it is such an analytical thing that we do. And we got to make sure the food is right. We got to make sure we can work with our suppliers to make it. So we actually have food scientists on the culinary team to help us with that because it's not just creative. There's that whole other side of it.
So for any of our listeners who don't know what a food scientist is, can you explain what a food scientist is a little bit in just the most layman terms possible?
And what a fascinating career too.
Yeah.
I met somebody who was a food scientist, I want to say at some point over the summer at Sweets and Snacks, and I was like, wow, Hannah Gray. I was like, that's crazy.
I am not a food scientist, so I might not be the best representative of this, but basically they study a lot of chemistry, a lot of the sciences to really understand what goes into the making of these products, all these ingredients that go in. There's a lot of things that go into it behind the scenes that it can even get into like specific areas like animal science. There are folks here, not so much in the culinary group, but there are folks here in our QA department who are like meat scientists. And they know all about meats. They know all about the different muscles of the animal and all about how to deal with that and how it is, best prepared and all of those things. Like outside of the culinary scene, we're talking about like processing and growing and farming and all of that, agriculture, that side of it, and knowing plants and all. Like it's really cool. There's so many aspects you can get into. We've one of our folks on our team. He knows a lot about dairy. He's worked in the dairy industry before, so he's like a food scientist and knows all these sorts of things about enzymes and different ways that dairy reacts to things. Like it's not my field,
No, but it's wild.
but it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's so cool that you're a part of a team that has just this many people on it and this many skill sets. Yeah, one of my favorite work experiences, or any of my favorite work experiences, are the ones where I get to be around culinary people and they just kind of do their thing throughout the day because it's so cool to watch. I don't know. I just love watching people that are really good at things and that really know what they're doing. And so this sounds like the perfect sort of incubator just for creativity and food.
Yeah. And when you get these varied backgrounds together, like even my background that I told you about earlier, like we all have our own unique path on how we got to where we're at. So everybody's got these little pieces and parts, and bringing it all together is what sort of makes things function. So you don't want everybody from the same background. You don't want everybody knowing the same things because
it's an echo chamber at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really intriguing to get people from different places and with different skill sets together. I think that's where some of that magic happens.
Very cool.
Does the packaging team ever hit you up and they're like, hey, can you give us input on like bag designs or like the candied bacon cup?
Well, you kind of reminded me. I forgot when I first started, packaging was another one of my roles because we don't have packaging engineers on staff here. So we have our supply chain team and they use our vendor support for designing packaging and for getting us what we need. But there was a point in time at which I was sort of our internal packaging expert. Now we have a lot of knowledge on our QA team for that now. So I've slowly sort of passed the torch on that one. I still love it though. I mean, it's near and dear to my heart still, but
I'm curious too, because as we were setting up, I was kind of browsing the test kitchen that we're in, and I saw the burger wrappers that have the different designations on them. I've clocked that before at other fast food restaurants, but is that something you also have to factor into recipe testing and developing, is having to make sure that the packaging aligns with, and then the chefs preparing it also have to know that you fold it a certain way in order, like, do you have a more eloquent way of describing what I just described?
This is why Matt's the smart one, by the way.
no, it's
My attention to detail is not there. I'm just like, oh, cool. Wow.
It's incredibly complex. Well, like you started into it, right? It's like you have all these different wraps, and there isn't just one wrap for all of our biscuit sandwiches. There's multiple wraps, and you gotta fit those onto these couple different wraps. They have to know which color wrap they're pulling when you order a sausage biscuit, right? They have to know which wrap they're pulling. They have to know which side to wrap it to. By the way, burritos are wrapped different than sandwiches. So there's all these like little aspects to it. Another piece of that is anytime you want to make changes to the menu, now all of a sudden your wraps don't match anymore. So, it's a whole nother piece of the puzzle. Like you gotta make all that work. We get around that with the LTOs by having certain sections of the wrap be available for a promo item or so we get around because we know we're going to do those regularly. But when we have big menu shifts, which we do every few years, we look at the landscape and we're seeing what people want, what people need in their food that they get from us. And so we do make changes, and packaging's a whole big piece of it. And then there's just the whole graphics side of it. Like, I don't know if you can see these cups on camera, but these are the current graphics. These weren't the graphics a couple years ago. We refresh it with the times and try to keep it up to date. So there's all sorts of pieces that go into the packaging. It's funny that you noticed that. I don't ever think about talking about that, but it is actually pretty complex.
He's very detail oriented.
It's the detail of it, but it's also my big beef is when people talk about fast food like it's unskilled labor or like it's something easy to do, when it's this incredibly complicated, interconnected. There's so much going on, and as someone with ADD, watching restaurant staff as orders are flying in and you have to memorize a recipe, but you're also having to fold and assemble and do all of that the same way every single time is insanity. It's so hard, and it's so impressive to just watch people do that. And so to be able to see that and to learn about all the details and all the factors that go into that, I love being able to have that appreciation for it now as well.
It really is incredible. For anyone out there who hasn't done that, like, go into a fast food restaurant sometime and just sort of watch them in the back of the house. I mean, they move with speed for sure, and they know what they're doing. I give them so much credit for it. Like, biscuit baking, really hard to do. Like, you got to know what you're doing. On the line, making sandwiches. I mean, it's hard enough, even when you're talking about just memorizing the menu items and you've got one order coming in. But how often, do you get just one order coming in? There's usually like a lineup of sandwiches on your screen that's sort of in the back of the restaurant that you're looking at. That shows you all the incoming orders, and you're trying to keep up with all of that and making all of these different sandwiches. It is really hard. Yeah. I have a lot of appreciation for the work that they do.
Well, this is one of the things that I talked about with Chef Mike way back when too, was because he has his opinions, and people always say that, they invalidate his job, being like, oh yeah, like you're just like a fast food cook. But the amount of work that goes into just like being a fry cook in a restaurant is like really there. I know people clown on it being like, oh, you're just gonna like flip burgers, but like it's not an easy thing. I can't even make a meal for myself. That's like a basic thing without taking like an hour. So to go through that and do it repeatedly, the amount of just effort that a lot of people put in too it's commendable. I don't know. It's like we give them a bad rap, but it takes a village to make these things happen.
Yeah. And we try to keep them in mind as much as we can when we're building these things, right? Like, we might have a fancy recipe that we start out with, but we know it's going to be really challenging. And those folks already have a lot to deal with on a day-to-day basis and a lot to remember. And we're always putting out these new items, and we want them to be successful. So that's part of our development process. And the folks here in this building, we try really hard to put the restaurant mentality first, right? Because those are the folks that are out there with our guests who are the front lines, if you will. And so making life a little bit easier for them, any way you can, whether it's the wraps, whether it's like where you put the sauce on the sandwich, right? All of this, I mean, you don't really think about it much, but like all those little things make a difference when you get to the restaurant level.
I have one burning question too, because this is always something that interests me when we're talking about everyday people, general consumer stuff like that, food or otherwise. What sort of trends are you seeing from consumers right now with everything existing as it is macroeconomically? I mean, it could be anything to taste too, but what are some of the top things that you guys are seeing that just is interesting?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on a lot of different fronts, right? So you've got this economic situation, right? So people looking for value. I think you need to classify what value is. It doesn't necessarily have to be $1 or $2, right? Yeah. It's value for the money. So trying to catch people at different price points that they can work with in today's world. So that's something we're always keeping an eye on. We see a lot of health conscious coming forward. We're not entirely sure how that's going to hit QSR yet, but we are keeping an eye on it because you've got regulations out there. We're taking away dyes. We're taking away certain things, which are great health-wise, right? We should be doing that. So let's pull all of that out. But what's next? Is there's a lot of this GLP-1 stuff that's out there, and how does that affect our menus? Are people looking for those healthier options? Are they looking for more family meals instead of individual meals? These are all things like just outside of the food itself that we just have to keep in mind is people's habits and where people are trending in that space. So it's all stuff that's like on our minds, on our radar. And like I said, some of it we don't even know yet where it's going, but or at least for our brand, we don't know where it's going.
But it is something that you guys are keeping an eye on.
For sure.
What about from the flavor standpoint? We've talked about the Dubai chocolates and the hot honeys. Any interesting trends popping up that you like?
Well, no, there's some things that like I'm not sure I want to divulge because there's stuff that we're working on. Some of those.
You don't, yeah, definitely don't feel obligated.
Yeah,
but there are things that you are interested in personally too.
I don't want other people to.
Yeah, well, you don't want to give it. Yeah, don't give somebody else an idea. What about you personally? What are some things that you like these days from a food standpoint?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about development.
Yeah.
What do you have favorite menu items, or is there a particular project that you worked on here where you're just like, I'm super proud of this. This is my favorite item that I've developed.
The Hardee's Chef Jean top 5.
Oh gosh. Okay, that's putting me on the spot.
You have to have something. You spend your life is dedicated to this food.
No, it's that there's too many things, I think. I feel like I would leave out a favorite child, but top 5 things that I've loved over the years. Right, most of them probably don't exist on menu today, but we can do that one next.
Okay, cool.
So I'm gonna say the campaign to bring back the CNR. That was a big one. I'm so excited about that. Cinnamon raisin biscuit. Sorry, I'm using acronyms that the crowd will not know.
CNR. I was like cinnamon raisin. I don't know. What
I had a feeling.
The candied bacon. There was a series of brunch sauces that we did that I was absolutely in love with.
What were the sauces?
There is like hollandaise. There was like a Bloody Mary version.
What?
Oh. Yeah, no, really.
When
really
was this in the era?
You didn't get to see them. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
They're still my favorites though.
When did they run?
They didn't know that. They didn't.
They just never. Okay.
Yeah, these are things that we've worked on over the years. That like, yeah, some of them made it, some of them didn't. But there's still things that I'm like that I'm loving that sort of are making my top 5 as we're sitting here. Flavored chicken tenders, like adding any sort of seasoning to the chicken tenders. Dry seasoning, wet seasonings, dipping them, love it.
Yes.
And then I'm going to maybe throw in like chocolate gravy on biscuits.
What?
Yeah, chocolate gravy. I think it's another Southern thing. I think Southerners, you can let me know if we're right on that one.
Krispy Kreme does the chocolate glaze like twice a year, and everybody goes crazy.
Yeah.
Every time for that.
Interesting.
So, yeah. I can see why.
Pairs really well with the biscuits. Like the saltiness of the biscuits with the sweet gravy. Like menu item though, I will say hand breaded chicken tenders.
Had those last year, they were fire.
They are like I'm partial to them on our menu. I love a lot of things on our menu. There's a lot of sleepers on our menu that you might not even know are delicious. The chicken tenders are like my favorite. I love to load them up with things here in the kitchen. Maybe someday you guys out there will see some in restaurants of Jean's creations of loaded chicken tenders.
Well, I mean, we can make a push for that now. What am I saying?
Actually, it was a trend. I mean, it's still kind of a thing, but everyone was ordering secret menu items, or we just interviewed Alexis Frost, who she would order staff's specialty items that they would make for themselves.
Yeah.
Are there any test kitchen secret items that like aren't on the menu that you guys just throw together when you have things left from testing? Or
we do that all the time. So it really depends on what we have on hand. We play with whatever we have on hand on any given day. We often, it's going to sound weird, but it's delicious. We often make lettuce wraps, like sort of like BLT wraps.
People ask about this stuff all the time. That and grilled chicken.
Yeah.
Like 24/7. Like McDonald's used to have salads. Everybody's like, where is the salad? So
yeah.
I can see why that would be popular.
So we make like sort of like a little, almost like a little taco with the lettuce leaf, and then you put some mayonnaise in it. You throw some tomatoes, some bacon, some chicken, whatever you got. So we do that a lot. We load up fries and tenders a lot. I will tell you it's a very simple hack, but delicious. Salt on the hash browns in the morning. You gotta get a little extra salt on your hash browns in the morning at breakfast. It's like game changer.
Okay.
It sounds simple, but game changer.
A little bit of salt.
And so
extra salt.
Extra salt.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we got those. And for the Hardee's menu, sleeper picks, things that people usually don't gravitate towards that you think are underrated.
Yep. Yeah, I think people forget about these items that are so good. And I forget about them sometimes, and then I have them again here in the test kitchen. I'm like, man, why don't I order this more often? Big hot ham and Swiss.
Is that like a sandwich?
It's a sandwich. And it's literally ham and Swiss on a bun. And you see it on the menu, and it's like, oh, that looks good. But, that's not what you're gravitating towards. So good. It is so melty. It is so delicious.
Kind of like a croque monsieur?
It's
or is that
like
would be a croque madame?
QSR version.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, which one? No, I
never remember which one was which. I just know that one has ham
either.
and one doesn't. And I can't. There's like a weighted irrelevant.
Oh wait, the hat. There's something about a hat on the lady.
Is that when they put the
egg? It's the egg.
Oh, okay. So it's a croque
egg.
monsieur with the ham
Yes.
and the cheese. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's one.
Other sleepers: mushroom and Swiss Angus burger.
Yes.
Would.
So good. It is a top seller in some markets, but so good. The Frisco burger, so good. Probably my top one though, my top sleeper. And again, these sell well in certain markets, but sausage biscuit. Take this with a grain of salt. This is coming from a northerner. I never knew that a single piece of meat on a biscuit just alone would do it. But I'm telling you, like, our sausage is so good and our biscuits are so good that you put those two things together. Like, it looks so simple. It is one of my favorite breakfast items.
You know what's funny that you say that is because I was in Nashville 2 weeks ago, and I was ordering Hardee's like religiously through Uber Eats, and I saw that and I was like, I'm sure it's good, but is it that good? And I didn't get it.
You should.
I have a Hardee's hack, which is also it's Lauren's. Full credit to Lauren.
Oh yeah,
I do the spicy chicken biscuit, and I add the egg, and I add the cheese on that. So
you go spicy with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
nice.
it's so good.
Yeah.
But that becomes like the meat is the chicken, and then the breakfast stuff, and that to me is like, well,
yeah. And you get the two versions of the chicken.
Yeah.
Right there on the same sandwich. Yeah. I feel like there's probably a name for that, but yeah.
It's a bird something. I don't know. It's like a nickname.
No,
Either
I love that. I love that. That is such a good. I've had it myself. It is such a good breakfast sandwich. Highly recommended for everyone out there, for sure.
Okay. Well, first of all, this has been fantastic. Thanks for joining us in the first place. Any final words of advice for people? Final thoughts, Hardee's or career-wise?
Anything you're
Anything?
dying to share about Hardee's or Carl's Jr.'s?
I would just say, please trust that we have great quality and great craftsmanship going on. If you have access to a Hardee's, if you're in a market where they exist,
I'm not.
Please come visit us. I know Zach is really sad that he doesn't get any. I promise I'll put in a plug for Massachusetts.
I'll cut the ribbon at the grand
But
opening.
in the meantime, it'll be a great reason for you to come down here and visit us.
You're so right.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to visit us. And it was really great having you guys.
Thank you too. We're happy to be here.
Us.